Hey there, and welcome back to Bites of Italy, your guide to authentic Italian food culture, one bite at a time. I'm Natalie, and I'm here with my co-host, Scotty.
Ciao, everyone. If you've been with us from the start, you know we've spent the last few episodes exploring Rome, delving into pasta meat dishes and all those rich, hearty classics. But today, we're changing things up. This is episode 13, and we're taking you somewhere totally different.
We've officially arrived in Venice, and with that, the food vibe shifts a little. Think lighter, fresher, more seafood forward.
Exactly. It's a whole new world of flavors. And today we're kicking it off with a real slice of Venetian life. If you want authentic Venice, you have to experience the Bacari. It's like trying real carbonara in Rome. It's fundamental.
So, grab a glass of something bubbly, maybe a few snacks, and let's immerse ourselves in the local Bacari tradition.
Okay, let's break it down. For someone who's never heard the term, what is a Bacaro?
Think small traditional taverns or wine bars, often quite intimate spaces. They can be standing rooms only sometimes. And the vibe, always buzzing. You'll hear Italian, Venetian dialect, bits of English, laughter. It's where locals, gondoliers, shopkeepers, students meet up. And tourists who are in the know, of course.
And it's not just about drinks, is it? There's food involved.
Definitely. That's where Cicchetti come in. Small snacks for drinks such as crostini with toppings, little seafood bites. Think Venetian tapas, basically. Delicious. And the best part? They're incredibly affordable, usually around €3 each.
And the name itself, Bacaro, it sounds quite unique. Where does that come from?
Well, there's a bit of debate, actually. Some people connect it to Bacchus, the Roman god of wine and revelry.
That makes sense given the atmosphere you described.
It does fit, yeah. But another theory, which I personally find quite charming, links it to a Venetian expression, far baccara. It essentially means to make merry, to celebrate, just having a good time together.
I like that.
Yeah, it captures the spirit perfectly. Enjoying company, drinking wine, often served in these small glasses called Ombra, which means shadows.
Why shadows?
The story goes that wine sellers in St. Mark's Square used to move their carts to follow the shadow of the bell tower, keeping the wine cool. So going for a drink became andare all'ombra, going for shadows. There is even a tradition of hopping from one Bacaro to another to drink good wine and eat some Cicchetti, which is called Giro d'Ombra, a shadow tour. And it is a whole social ritual in Venice.
So, for you, dear listeners, heading to Venice, even just for a day or two, a Bacaro tour is like a must-do.
100%. Whether you're there for a week or just passing through, it's such a great way to soak up the real city.
All right, let's start our shadow tour. First stop, Bacaro Risorto Castello.
It's super convenient, like just a stone's throw from St. Mark's Square. And crucially open till 1 a.m. daily, which is perfect for, those late-night wanders.
Totally. But what really gets you about this place, though, is how genuinely Venetian it feels. It's not pretending. You walk in, and it's cozy, compact, glossy red panels, rustic wood, exposed brick, mostly standing room, which gives it this great local buzz. You feel like you found a real spot,
And the Cicchetti! The selection is incredible. So much choice and everything just pops with flavor.
Any particular ones to absolutely try?
Definitely look for Baccalà Mantecato. It's an amazing creamy spread made with salted cod, usually on polenta or bread. The classic. You see it everywhere, but Bacaro Risorto does it well. Here they serve it on incredibly crispy crostini.
And their wine selection is also fantastic, especially if you're into organic wine, because at least 30% of their wines are natural, organic, or biodynamic.
Did you find a good pairing for the Baccalà?
I did. The staff is very warm and friendly. They suggested a natural Pinot Grigio from Veneto, and it was spot on. Bright, citrusy, minerally. It just cut through the richness of the cod perfectly. Lifted the saltiness. It was really refreshing.
And they have cocktails like the Spritz and craft beers too, if wine's not your thing.
Good to have options. Okay, moving on. Another must-visit, a truly quintessential spot, is Bar Al Arco.
An institution. Super popular. You see locals popping in, visitors who've, clearly done their homework.
It's tucked away, isn't it, near the Rialto Bridge?
Yeah, down this tiny little alley. And the place itself is impossibly small inside. Charming, though. Old wood beams on the ceiling. Just a few tables. Definitely expect a crowd. But honestly, it's so worth it. The atmosphere, the food, and what makes it special is the passion. The owners, Francesco and his son Matteo, you can tell they're dedicated to freshness. They hit the Rialto market every single morning.
And that market, wow, the history there. It used to be this huge trading hub. It's smaller now, but still amazing. Fresh seafood, incredible produce.
And Matteo always says, quality over price. And you taste it. You really do.
That freshness comes through in the daily specials, like those famous violet artichokes of Sant'Erasmo. If you're there in season, you have to try them. Bar Al Arco does them in so many ways. Fried, marinated, raw. A proper taste of the season.
Definitely. And even beyond the seasonal stuff, their regular cicchetti are just outstanding. We had sardine Saor, sweet and sour sardines with onions and pine nuts. Sounds unusual maybe, but it's truly Venetian and delicious.
And their cicchetti with anchovies? Just wow! Some of the most intensely anchovies ever. In a good way.
I know what you mean. That salty, fishy umami thing.
Exactly. Paired with like a tangy cream cheese on that crunchy bread. Just amazing.
Now, a quick practical tip for Bar Al Arco. It's amazing for lunch, but they close pretty early, like 2 or 3 p.m., so plan your visit, don't miss out.
But we can still have a drink there. They have a great wine list. Lots from Veneto and nearby Friuli Venezia Giulia. But more people seem to be drinking Spritz, Aperol, or Select. Naturally, we had to have one too. Very refreshing, bittersweet, citrusy, perfect palate cleanser.
We all know the iconic Aperol Spritz cocktail, but not everyone knows that it was born in Padua near Venice. Interestingly, and perhaps surprisingly for folks, this bright orange drink has a complex history.
Let's get into it. Where did this whole Spritz thing actually start?
This is the first surprise. Its roots. They go back to the early 19th century and, not Italy exactly, but the Austrian Habsburg Empire. When they controlled Lombardy and Veneto, after Napoleon, post-1815.
Okay, Austrian soldiers in Italy. I'm guessing the local wine was different.
Yeah, they were used to lighter stuff. The Italian wines, especially from Veneto, were probably a bit bolder, had too much alcohol for them. So they started asking for a spritzer, which means splash in German. They just wanted a splash of still water in their wine to dilute it a bit.
So the original Spritz was just watered-down wine. Not quite the glamorous image we have now.
Not at all, but, the habit stuck around even after Italy gained independence. People just kept doing it, and eventually that still water got swapped out for soda water, so it got a bit of a fizz.
Starts to sound a bit more familiar.
Exactly. And then fast forward to the early 20th century to Padua, a city located less than 50 kilometers from Venice, and specifically to the 2 Barbieri brothers, Luigi and Silvio.
Okay, tell us about them.
They saw this trend happening. They had inherited their father's distillery, so they were in the drinks business already. Once as they traveled to France, they saw the aperitifs culture there. Those pre-dinner drinks designed to stimulate the appetite, lighter, often a bit bitter, herbal.
Local habit meets French sophistication. Is that the idea?
I think that's a great way to put it. They saw an opportunity to create something uniquely Italian, but inspired by these different currents. And in 1919, they launched Aperol.
And the name itself, Aperol Spritz, kind of tells that story, doesn't it?
Yeah. Aperol clearly comes from aperitivo, or the French aperitif concept. And Spritz is a nod to the Austrians, to that splash of soda. It's fascinating how cultures borrow and adapt like that. Austrian roots, French inspiration, but ultimately it became a very Italian thing.
Okay, we get the Aperol story, but we are in Venice now, so we need to mention a Select Spritz. It was created right there in Venice in the Castella district back in 1920, just a year after Aperol debuted nearby in Padua.
Wow, close timing. What makes Select different?
It's got a more complex recipe. They use, I think, about 30 different plants, like herbs and spices, things like juniper berries, rhubarb roots. They macerate them, boil them, and distill them. It's quite a process.
Sounds like it. So the flavor must be quite distinct from Aperol.
It is. It's got more of a bitter edge. It's still bittersweet, but leans more bitter. And it has this nice, rich, ruby red color. Not bright orange, more sophisticated, maybe.
Less sweet, more complex, more Venetian.
That's how many locals see it, yeah. And it's super popular in Venice and the Veneto region. You'll see signs for Select Spritz. It's something to specifically ask for if you're here.
Good tip. Seek out the Select Spritz for the authentic Venetian taste. Noted.
And while Aperol and Select are the big players now, There's an even older version you can sometimes find. Well, older in concept, closer to the original. It's Spritz Bianco.
Oh, White Spritz. I'm intrigued. What is that?
It's incredibly simple. It goes right back to the roots. It's just a local Veneto white wine with a splash of sparkling water and lemon. It's maybe not on every tourist menu, but it's a real historical throwback, a taste of the true origin.
Wine with water, it's not my cup of tea, but it's good to know. Now, let's move on to the next stop on our Ombra tour, Cantina Arnaldi. Lovely spot. Cozy traditional osteria feel. It's over in Santa Croce, which is handy if you're near the train station. They have outdoor seating and are open till midnight.
And the building itself is cool. It's in an old warehouse, part of Palazzo Arnaldi. Dates back to the 15th century.
Serious history. It just feels authentic. Good place for cicchetti, aperitivo, or just a late-night glass of wine.
What stood out to me were the owners, Andrea and Katia. They've worked in hospitality all over Italy and abroad. And you can tell there's this professionalism, this elegance, but it's still warm and welcoming.
And their wine philosophy is interesting. They focus hard on small producers.
Yeah, not just local ones either, from other Italian regions too. They apparently travel around specifically to find new interesting wines. So the recommendations you get aren't just the obvious big names. It's more discovery-led. You won't find overrated stuff there.
And the food follows that same idea. Classic Venetian cicchetti, but the quality of the ingredients is top-notch. Often homemade, right? Or sourced from small producers.
Yeah, and get this. Katia's family has a farm up in the Dolomites. They make cured meats, cheeses, and amazing ricotta. These are real local delicacies, and just imagine having them on your cicchetti.
And we had it. We tried their cicchetti mix with Venetian wine Malvasia. The whole experience just felt considered. Quality shines through.
Yeah, it was nice. Okay, last one on our list for today. Vino Vero, meaning true wine. This one's a bit more modern.
Definitely. It's a Bacaro in Cannaregio. Great spot right on the canal, open till midnight too. It's got that chic, vintagey style inside. Not a huge amount of seating indoors, but the patio by the canal is lovely.
And they make their stance clear with the sign, "No Spritz, we love wine."
Yeah, it tells you everything. And they really do have an extensive list, by the glass and by the bottle.
And their focus, very much natural wines, some quite experimental stuff. They champion small producers doing interesting things. They usually have a chalkboard up with the day's offerings and regions. It changes often.
And the selection of sparkling wines is so extensive here that you simply must try some.
Yeah, their Prosecco is genuinely great.
And it's a good reminder, that real Prosecco only comes from that specific area. Northeast Italy, Veneto, and Friuli, Venezia Giulia.
Absolutely. Actually, we tasted Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore. This area, located in the hills and valleys between Venice and the Dolomites in Veneto, is considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Tell us why this region is considered Superiore.
Due to its mix of clay and limestone soils, steep southern-facing slopes, and altitudes of up to 1,650 feet. All of it creates sparkling wines that are fresh, aromatic, yet refined and elegant.
This Prosecco paired perfectly with the Cicchetti and Vino Vero, which are a bit more gourmet.
Yeah, a little more elevated maybe. We had this amazing crostino with eggplant, so mild and tender with these bright, zesty tomatoes. And the octopus. That was a real standout for me. Lightly salty hint of paprika, just perfectly cooked.
I remember that octopus. It was fantastic, and the crisp apple notes in the wine, and floral hints. Really good pairing.
But perhaps the best thing about Vino Vero is the staff. Seriously knowledgeable about Italian wines. They can guide you. It's almost like getting a mini wine tasting just by chatting with them. Great place to be adventurous. Try something new, both with the wine and the cicchetti on the counter.
Okay, there you have it. Just a few personal picks to get you started.
This is just scratching the surface, but hopefully it gives you some great starting points for an unforgettable culinary adventure.
The main thing is, don't be afraid to wander a bit off the main paths, beyond the gondolas and St. Mark's. Don't be afraid to get lost a little bit.
Exactly. Duck into the smaller alleys. That's where you find the authentic spots, often packed with Venetians. Don't be intimidated if it looks busy. Just squeeze in.
And when you're standing at the counter, faced with all these cicchetti, part of the fun is just pointing at what looks good.
Absolutely. Each Bacaro has its own specialties. Just point, order an Ombra, and enjoy. It's very informal.
It sounds like it's about more than just eating and drinking then. It's cultural immersion.
That's exactly it. It's how you connect with the everyday rhythm of Venice. You step out of the tourist bubble and into a real living tradition. You're shoulder to shoulder with locals.
It's spontaneous, it's fun, it's the pulse of the city.
So, the big takeaway for anyone planning that trip. Don't just see Venice, taste it. Find the Bacari. Embrace the andare all'ombra.
Well, folks, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining us and for exploring Venice with us. If you enjoyed this episode of Bites of Italy, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
It really helps support what we do, and you'll be the first to know when new foodie adventures go live.
And speaking of what's next, we're staying in Venice for the next episode.
Yep, we'll be spotlighting a few of our favorite restaurants that totally blew us away. Great food, unique vibes. Can't wait to tell you all about them.
Stay tuned, and until next time.
Keep tasting and traveling. Ciao for now.